Hello everyone, Kenty Tiger here with Bengali Engineering in Play. And I can't talk. I need a drink, obviously. Excuse me. So, in the last episode, we pretty much finished up the refit of the ship. The only thing I did off screen was change. So we had changed these two to the 33-degree slope instead of the 45-degree slope, which I think looks quite a bit better. Um, even though we've changed the ship structurally from what the original author had done, the original creator, I think this looks a little bit better. So I think it follows through keeping the structural portion of things a little better. I did not change the bottom again, so we left the bottom there because that's where the thrusters were. So without totally changing things up, but still some major changes there, obviously. So having done that, we were going to focus on building pods for this thing. Now the question is, how do we want to do that? Do we want to kind of maintain this same concept as far as the sides go? How do we want to do that? So I was thinking two things, and so the question is, how much is enough, and how do we do this for the maximum amount of flexibility? So my thought process was that we do, and let me just go ahead and get it out here. So we want the big piece, which I guess we don't have. So gee, let's get that cargo blocks. Why are all those? There we go. That's what I want. There we go. So conveyor junction, obviously we don't need that anymore. Probably don't need that. Don't need that. Don't need that. Don't need that. Don't need cameras. And because we just could not conceivably put well, let's have a look. See, not sure how big the solar panels are. Are they a 5 long? Actually, much more than that. Alright, so if we lay that down, we have we cover. So we can indeed put it above, or rather in front of and aft of the thrusters, but we cover our camera. So that means we would either have to put them on the side here, and if we did that, we are then covering up our blue, unless we can figure out how to put and then the problem there is, so ideally would be to put them, like up here. So just for fun, let me go ahead and strap that one on there, and then do the same thing over here. Go out one more. There we go. So that's what those guys would look like if we were to attach solar panels. Now, obviously, this completely changes the look. So I think even though having solar power is great, especially because this vessel is primarily battery powered, then the solar panels would give you a little bit more flexibility. On the flip side is we've completely changed the look of the ship, and I don't think I want to go. I don't think I want to go there. So we're going to pull those off. The other thing I forgot to turn off was Space Master. So let's do that now before we get really building in here. Alright, so the nicks on the solar panels, definitely not going to do that. So we need our large cargo container, so let me grab the large container. Oh, what the heck was that? Strange things happening there. So we've got all our blocks. We do need a connector, but I do have the connector on the toolbar, but let's go ahead and put it here anyway. Alright, so so what I was thinking is we have this, and let's, just to get this out here into space so we can start working with it, we'll put that there. And then we will put 2 cargo containers. I hate that. Alright, so we will have 2 cargo containers. There we go. And then it's a matter of figuring out which way these are going. So in this case, we either have the, if we follow the ship, then the big port is on the port side versus the starboard side. So let's do that, and we add one more back here. So this is almost the same length as the ship. And we're going to literally place the other 2 exactly the same on the front. So one there and then one here. Alright, and so this is what our main structure looks like at this point. So let's weld this up if we can. Looks like we might have enough materials. Yes, we do. Alright. Oh, and I'm running out of a display. Okay, just to make sure I'm not in the Space Master here. Alright, so number 2, and pull in the large container worth. Alright. And number 7, which is our, there we go. Alright. So, this is our main, this is what the cargo pod looks like. Okay, so pretty straightforward, not a big deal there, right? So, in this case, if we look down the axis of the ship here, then the block is even with the front of this conveyor. So the merge blocks are even with the front of the connector. So here's what is going to happen here. So 3. We're going to get in here close enough, and we're going to turn that around so that goes there. We have 2 blocks distance between the merge block and the connector. So, merge blocks. Let me find merge blocks. Merge blocks. Merge block. I do have that up on toolbars, but alright. So, merge block. Okay, couple things. Those are dark colored, just like those are dark colored. So let's go ahead. Alright, so instead of this being exactly on here, it's actually offset by 1. Okay, so we have 2 in between. So let's have a look-see and see where this is. Okay, so we have the 1 here, and we would need, so this would be 1 and 2. So let's go ahead and offset. There's 1 and Okay, and just so we can see, if we look down the long axes here, we can see that those are indeed all lined up exactly identical as what they would be on the ship here. So let's do the same thing on this side. Obviously we've got to flip that around, so that's one space and two spaces, and one space and two spaces. And then our connector here, which we're obviously going to have to flip around and put it in. Alright, so let's weld these up and see where we're at. So they're welded, welded, welded. So not too bad, not too bad. All right, so how are we going to maintain the look that was on this other ship? Now the other thing we have to consider here is that we need a battery, because the connectors don't work and the merge blocks don't work. We need power. So how do we do the power thing? The other side of this that's kind of interesting, that I don't know how it will work, is, so connectors are to connect two independent grids. Merge blocks take a grid and join it with another one, so you have a single grid. So you can't actually have connectors connecting two separate grids when you have merged them with merge blocks, because it's the same grid. So now you would have a connector attached onto a connector on the same grid, which you can't do. So I don't think this connector idea will actually work. So I'm not sure, other than using some sort of mergeless conveyor, which I don't know that we have in vanilla, to connect these two assemblies together. So really, if we were to think about things and we were to attach this pod onto the side of the ship, then these two connectors would not actually be connected because it's the same grid. So you would have an independent cargo array here, and then the cargo array of the ship, which is entirely connected. So this, because it feeds through in the center over to this side, all 10 of these are connected. So any one of the 5 connectors will actually, you can use for any of the 10 cargo bays here. But because connector onto connector on the same grid doesn't work, then I don't think you would have any way to access this cargo array from here. So, pardon me, I'm getting the yawns here. So this front section, this front cargo connector, if I were to, you know, fly up and want to fill on things, then I really can't fill these guys because I have no way to connect it on, because these connectors are the same grid because of the merge block. So the only thing we could potentially do here is use the connector itself to connect, and if that were the case, then we would then have connectored to the side. Now the downside to using a connector is because you could have this at any angle, whereas with the merge blocks you're going to be at the exact same angle as this ship. So we could technically leave these connectors off, or we could turn this whole thing sideways and have the connectors top and bottom, and then be able to access this cargo array. But with these merge blocks, I don't see any way to get cargo between the main ship and here. So it's not like you could just add these on and then actually use it full time. You would have to have some way to fill these independently. So there's an interesting quandary there in how to move cargo between the pods and the rest. So, having said all that, babble, I know, but that is one of the concerns here that we have to figure out. So, as I don't want this to be in the way, but I want to continue on with the same design of the other ship, then we're going to do this, and so we're going to put that there and this here. So we're going to continue on with this same kind of style, although a half block would be great here because we're kind of straying a little bit. That's a half shape there. So if we wanted to continue with the half shape, we could, but I'm going to go ahead and do the whole thing just because. As long as this is an angle, it will not merge other than the merge block. So if I let the merge block loose, this will still not connect onto the ship. So that's the goal that we want here. So the other good news here is that because and let me just go over here, and so if we look at the side of this ship, even though we have these blocks out here, the merge block is a half block out from the ship, or a whole block out from the ship. So even if we merge here, we don't have any surface areas that will actually merge between the pod here, the cargo pod, and the ship, which is exactly what we want. So we can actually put the blocks on this outside edge and not have to worry about it merging with the ship, which is what I fully intend to do. So let's do the same thing here. We have the half block and then the whole block, or rather the tip and the rest. Bing, put that there. All right. And in the back here, we're going to use whole blocks. So block, block. And we'll do the same thing here. Block. And do the same thing forward. Alright, and in this case, we're going to just follow the piece on around. Leave that there. Nope, I guess we do need that. Nope, I take that back. We are going to do the 2-block slope here instead, because I think that will look a little better. And we'll do that so there's that one and that one, and then that one and that one. There we go. And then we'll reverse that here, so that one and that one, and then the tip, which we reverse and reverse. And then we start coming down the side with our main blocks. So light armor block. Oh darn, didn't want that there. Block, and block. Okay, pull out a grinder and get rid of this. Get rid of the. Oh darn. All right. So let's see if we can manage to weld this up, and we'll just weld up the front half here. Okay, and one of the things I have clearly oopsed with is the color. So, color. Sweep across the front in the same way. Color. Uh-oh, I oopsed. And then color. All right. Our cargo containers are the dark color, so I need to colorize those correctly, which I did not do. Alright, back forward, we'll continue welding now that I have, I think, the correct colors. Does that look like the correct colors? I don't know if those look like the correct colors or not. Kind of do out here. So why did those change? They are light. Okay. Yep. The colors look right, at least on this side. So that's better. All right. So color. Oops. Wrong. Let's go that. Okay, colorize, color, and then do the colors here and here. All right, we'll weld all this up, and I'm going to do something in the back, and we'll have to see how it looks, because it might look really hideous. But here's what we need. We need a battery, because the merge blocks and the connectors, for that matter, need power. Minimal power, but power. So what I was thinking is, grab a battery. Okay, we're done with merge blocks and connectors, but let's do this anyway. Actually, we can get rid of that. All right. And because this is a 3x3, we're going to put it here. I'm going to spin this over, and I don't know which is upside down and which is right side up in relation to the battery, but we're going to pretend that that's right side up. And I actually did have enough parts. Alright, so we want to continue on kind of in the same venue as we were doing. So what I want to do is I'm going to put a 1 block and a 1 block, and I hate to cover up my battery indicator, and then we're going to do a 1 and a 1, so we'll carry on, and this is actually going to be a little bit off, but that's fine, because I think I will still be able to work with this. Spin that around, because here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna do a block and a slope here. And then another block. So we'll put the block actually in here. That will be that corner structure. In fact, if we really wanted to be creative, 6, and keep this kind of a skeletal structure, then what we would do is put another slope here. So let's do the slope, and we'll spin that like this. Yeah, I think that looks quite fine. All right, let me get this going the correct direction. So we have the block, 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 and block, right? And then same thing down here, block, 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 and then we have an extra block and a block, and then we have our slope corner, which the first one is, oops, spun it all the way around, like this, and then like this. So like this, and like this. Alright. So let's, we'll weld this up and see what it looks like. That one, yes. Alright. And then there's that one, and whoops, have not finished this one. So, alright, so this one is like this, and then like this, and then a block there. Okay, so what we have tried to do here, and I don't know if we have managed to actually accomplish it or not, is to keep the original style of the ship. And here's what I'm going to do here, and again, trying to maintain this original style, is there's that block and that block. Then we have a whole block here, and we do, sorry, let's go back to, so there's this, and then this. So we have a slope going all the way up, and then big blocks all the way, block, 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 block. And we're just going to continue right over the top. So we're going to do a block. Actually, you know what we're going to do here? Okay, let me grind this down. 6. Alright, we're going to do the same kind of thing that we did on the battery, which is to say we put a slope here. Okay, so we have a slope and a slope. Now I have no idea why it let me attach that, so I'm just going to move on. And then block, 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 block. And in this case, don't really have any good way to bring that up to here, other than yeah, we're gonna have to do it this way. So a little bit steep, but we follow through, and so it's completely symmetrical here. So one, we're back at our armor block, block, and block. Alright, so we'll pull out our welder, see what that actually looks like. So I don't know if I like that center frame, but we're going to have a look at it anyway. Alright, there's that. Alright. So the question is, does that center frame follow the original design, or have we strayed from it? Or does it really matter? Because there's nothing like that on the original ship anyway. So, I don't know. So the only thing that we could change in here that would make it a little different is actually put a half block in here. So spin that around and change its color to this dark. And the reason I like this is because it adds some semblance of structure. So these are not two independent chassis things here. They're actually, you know, everything connected. And then we do the same thing like right here, and then reverse like here. Yep, I think that works. And so we do need to do that on the back corner here, which is to say here and here. Or we could do it here and here, which I think would be better because then it would leave this kind of open space next to the battery. So let's do that. Pull that piece out. And then we'll go down on the other side and do the identical thing on this side. We get our pieces, we have to reverse these pieces, and we have that one there, and that one there, and then that there. Oh, and we don't even have the pieces here, so there's that piece there, and that piece here, and then spin there, and then I think that's a there, and or is that, nope, I did it wrong. So that's there, and I need to grind that one and put and reverse. Alright, so, oh, damn it. So I was reading on the, it's kind of the suggestion page for Keen. I don't know if it is the only suggestion page, because they do have a Discord page that the discussions can take place, but this is where you actually put in like trouble calls for an issue. I found an issue, I found a bug, and suggestions, and so I actually put in a suggestion there, but I was looking at the other really incredible ideas that other folks have, and there was actually a really neat suggestion that I saw that was about batteries, and it was basically, so the whole power cell thing, you know, there's very few materials in the game that basically get destroyed when you're disassembling things, and power cells is one of them. Now, why all power cells, you know, basically are turned to scrap metal when you disassemble a battery, I don't know. I always thought that was kind of strange, because I mean, power cells, if you think about what a power cell is, are pretty resilient devices. So I'm not sure the sense behind that, but that's true of a lot of things that I've, you know, my perspective with some of the things that Keen has done in Space Engineers. But aside from that, so it was basically just take the battery concept, and so the battery is a chassis, and the power cells now are actually chargeable modules that are in the batteries. So you could literally like have a solar satellite. And the whole purpose of the satellite is to charge uh, batteries or power cells. So you fly up to your battery, your battery charging satellite, and you pull the cells out, the power cells, which are now removable charged power cells, and you haul them down to the planet's surface and you plug them into your battery chassis down there. So it's basically this battery charger, power cell charge, discharge kind of a thing that you actually have components that you pull out of a battery. And I'm using components incorrectly. So not components like what the game calls components, but these power cells that you can remove, these power modules maybe would be a better way to phrase it, because the power cells are an actual component in the game. So power modules, I'll call them, out of the battery, move them around, put them into another battery chassis, and be able to use them there. So for example, I have a rover, and my rover is unpowered other than battery power. So hey, I'm going to go out roving for the day, so I have my station which has a reactor. It charges up the battery modules. I go and I haul the battery modules out. They're into my inventory. I haul them out to my rover, plug them into my rover, and now my rover is powered. So I thought it was a really neat concept of these removable power modules. By the same token is that you have the same power module that could actually integrate with your suit and now add battery power to the suit, an extended battery life to the suit. Which makes perfect sense if you consider we have hydrogen tanks, we have oxygen tanks, which we've had for a long time, which then increase the hydrogen and oxygen capability of the tank. So why, in all the years that Space Engineer has been around now, is there not a way to increase the battery life, the usability of the suit? So anyway, I saw a comment from one of the moderators on the well, you know what, I'm babbling about it here, so let me go and find it, and removable power cells. Alright, so let me drag my browser over into the world here, and big, and then turn it to a. So, to combat the problem of uncharged batteries and allowing grids powered solely by batteries, power cells and their charge should be an inventory item, like the gas bottles, that could be moved between batteries. This will allow one to have a battery on a grid with a generator or solar panels, which is used as a power cell charger, and then simply move those items, in this case being those power cells, charged power cells, over to batteries in another grid to power that grid. So I thought it was a brilliant idea, really neat. So as we read down here, so here's the Microgen from Keen. So actually further on this, it would unify character resources too, i.e. to increase the character capacity. Hydrogen has bottle, oxygen has bottle, but you can't store extra power. So this is, again, another really great issue. And the response was, this is a good idea. We try to find some way, some good way how to implement it. So there may be some way ahead there. Great idea, but as part of this power modules concept, to actually have a way to integrate that into your suit to the point where, you know, maybe just like a bottle, you have this power module in your inventory in your suit, and it draws power off of that just like it draws hydrogen or oxygen from the bottle. So I think it would be a really neat concept. So if they could integrate something like that into the game that would actually increase your suit capabilities, I think that would be really, really cool. So anyway, babble was totally off subject, I know. So let's get this put back where it needs to be. Okay, back to the game. Let me turn my HUD back on. So change colors back to what they should be, and then we have a slope, and we turn it around here. Slope, slope. All right, and we'll weld these up, and we should be almost done with the storage module. So the extra module. All right, not too bad. I think the only thing we have left now is the underside of this thing, which is right here. So we got to do the same kind of thing here, which is to turn this thing kind of up on its end. So that and that, and then a light armor block that we actually go all the way down the side here, all the way down the underside, block, and slope, which I got totally wrong. There we go. There we go. That way, and then reverse, and then we're back to the blocks. So block, and then we continue the blocks all the way along. Block. And then I think I did a gradual slope. Yes, I did. All the way up. So going here so we can kind of continue on. Is that correct? Yes, it is. Oh, so we need to actually remove this. How did we do that? Alright, so following suit in the way that we have done this already would be to put a slope in here. So armor block and corner slope. Like this. There it is. So we will do that same thing on the bottom here. So we add our slope, light armor slope, just like that. We need to grind this off because that's the wrong block for that, because we did this on the other side. Alright, so and welding up all along here. And there we are. So the only thing that may make more sense, one more thing here. So let me change colors again and consider putting, we have, so I need to figure out what pieces are there. So we have this piece and this piece, this piece and this piece. Okay, which kind of breaks things up a little bit on this end and still looks like there is some structural support there. And we will I think put one there and one there. there anything that we have missed anywhere? I don't think so. Alright. So we have tried to design this cargo pod to be in the same concept as the ship. And really, I guess I need these ribs on here to really make this do what it needs to do. So to do that, I guess we're gonna have to do nope, can't do that one because yep. So we gotta go along here. So there's that one, and that one. Yeah, I think I'm gonna leave this center undone. We'll not put the rib in the center, even though you know, symmetry and all. Yeah, I think we'll not. Let's see what it looks like. It may look totally hideous, but we'll see. All right, so there's that and that. Oh darn. Okay. I thought we were gonna have, so there's that, that, and that. That's gotta go there, and there, and there, and there. And then huh, that didn't work out so well. Oh. That's why. Oh, darn it. Alright, so my block, and then my tip, and then the other piece. There we go. Make it work right. That one there, then the tip, tip, and tip. Alright, and then reverse. Pieces. Oh, wrong color. Okay, we'll come back and change that. So, P for changing color, get that over to stock color, and there's that one. That one. Oh, that was weird. A little bit of a delay there. There. Alright. And then this side. Alright, bad. You know, half of me says that missing rib in the middle is going to be just a hideous eyesore, and the other half of it says I think we can work with that. So I'm going to leave it off. So we'll get everything. So block. There's a block there and a block there. Block. Darn it. Block there. Block there. Block there and a block there. 2. So this has to reverse, and this has to reverse. So this, and this, this, and this, this, and this, and this grind away. Side. Oh, what the heck? Oh. Another strange moment where things vanish and then reappear. Alright. So there is the pod. Now, if we really wanted to highlight some things, I think rather neatly, then let's bring that up. We're going to select that box. We're going to do a Control P, get the correct color of blue, and then we will color top and bottom. Like that. Okay. So all that is left at this point, so let's turn that off, is to, well, let me do a few things here. Info, and rather than just call this small grid, this is HS cargo pod. Okay. Alright. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to shift back into Space Master. And the reason for that is we want to copy that. So there's our Copy. Okay. And this was our cargo drone, which is our repaired and refitted cargo drone. The only other thing I'm going to do is put another one of these over here. So, just like this. Snap that into the world. Alright, and here's what we're going to do, because I want to see if this actually works. You know what I want to do before I do that is, so we have merge blocks, and what I think I'm going to do, I'm going to call that merge block 1, and we're just going to call this merge blocks. And the reason we're going to call that merge blocks is because we have full control of the merge blocks on the ship. We don't necessarily need full control of the merge blocks here, because if you let go merge blocks on one side, it still separates. So all you have to do is turn off the merge blocks on one side or the other. That's all that matters. So merge blocks and off. It's all ready to me, so cargo containers, and just like we did on the ship, we're going to call these containers. And then turn off the toolbar and off the terminal. Battery is battery. So what we could do if we wanted to is create a group, trees. So even though there's only one battery here, we create the group batteries. That way when you connect this thing on, that just jumps into the other group of batteries. So off and off. And connectors in this case, do we want to call port and starboard? So this is technically the starboard connector. Port connector was the first one we put on port. And then we have the same thing here, connectors. Alright, and then we turn them off. Well, yeah, off on the toolbar, because we're really not going to be able to do anything with those. And then boom. Alright, so having done that, so we have kind of redone this. So this one is going to go away, and we're going to Control-C this one, which is then going to replace, so our cargo pod here, replace with clipboard. Do you want to replace this blueprint with the clipboard? And that is yes, we do. And then we'll do again control. We blip this over to this side. We're actually going to turn it sideways and get it down somewhere over here and paste it into the world. Alright, then we'll jump into our ship. So T, we're going to do a V. I'm going to alt so I can spin away here a little bit. I'm going to go forward just slightly and then start drifting over towards this thing, because what I want to do is get these things to merge. So I'm going to get these things to hopefully turn green. Oh, I'm way off, aren't I? So let me back up a little. Go up a little. Oh, I'm still way, way off. Look at that. I'm such a hideous pilot. There we go. Boing! Oh, you know what? Those did turn yellow. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. G. Connector starboard. So, okay, let's go into K. We're going to turn our connectors on. Okay, back into connectors. So connector port. Whoops. Well, I guess it really doesn't matter, does it? So, okay, that one's not going to let me do that. So this one is the starboard, and it locked. That's kind of cool. Okay, I would not have expected that to do that. Um, you know, connectors on a grid with another connector on the same grid, it doesn't. They didn't used to do that. So I'm glad. I'm glad they did. So that's really neat. Okay, so technically I'm still in control of the ship here. So let's go up, and oh, too far. Not by much, but too far. So we want to thrust port. We're going to go backwards because we want to line up the these guys. Thrust to port again. Oh, peek. Okay, so the bad news is our thrust to weight ratio here is hideous. So I don't know if you saw that, but when I first connected, the force of the connection of the ship added some inertia onto the ship, and it shoved it sideways, which is to say it shoved it to the starboard, and it took a couple seconds to actually arrest that motion and bring us to a stop. So that could be a problem. So the other thing I want to do here is now I've got to find the right connector, and we're going to lock. Nope, didn't do it. It's okay. Connector lock. Okay, so it locked the first ones, but it would not lock the second one. So that is the port side connector on the ship. So which one of these is actually oh darn. Did fall off the world. So this one, which is the one on, is the other grid. Okay, so that is the one I want. So the one with the HUD on is the one I want to lock. Lock. And it did lock. Okay. Nice. Alright, so connectors, I'm going to turn those off again, and the other thing I want to do with connectors is turn the HUD off. Alright, so gyros. Alright, so gyro is semi-responsive, still responsive to weight, but so forward thrust, yeah, we're really hurting for thrust. With the extra weight on here, it takes a long time to arrest with this extra weight on here. So if we had cargo in this, keep in mind all these are empty. So if we had cargo in all of these, then this is going to be, yeah, this is not going to work really well. So I think we're going to go ahead and break here because it's a good place to do it. So the question is, how do we fix this little problem. So obviously we need a lot more thrust than what we have. So how do we fix that? And I think putting thrusters on the pods themselves may actually be a possible solution. So, trying to decide whether we actually do another episode with that or not. I guess we do. So, we'll break here and carry on in the next episode for this one. Turning out to be a lot longer than I intended, but hey, we're having fun, right? Alright, so this is Kenty Tiger signing off, and we will see you next time.